thought it was a done deal.
I was told the contract's coming. I'm still waiting on it.
Do you feel you get the credit that you deserve for that, or earned?
Yes and no. You know, I think like maybe eventually it will come, but I didn't do it to get credit. I have this. There's a picture of me and my dad hugging in WrestleMania, and this fan Rob Schamberger turned it into a painting, and I have it like hanging like in my living room. And like when I called to get fired, I was just looking at that painting and smiling, knowing, you know what, this isn't the end, but if it is, it's all right. I start the year as a nobody. I end the year as the U.S. champion. You know, teaming with John Cena, the Rock's in the middle of the ring, of Madison Square Garden, the chanting for me. You know, stuff that I did not think about when I started the show. I just wanted to create a little buzz. Everything went viral. All the clips went viral. All the GIFs, whatever you want, GIFs, whatever. Everything went viral. And it blew up, and everyone was talking about it. Everyone was sharing it. Slowly but surely, the fans started booing me, you know, because I'm just this Matt Cardona WWE guy in GCW, and they hated my guts, which was great, but I didn't think it was going to, you know, bleed into other promotions.
Is there a moment like you look back and you go, if I hadn't have changed something, it could have been all different?
If I don't do that death match in GCW, I don't think I'm even sitting here talking to you.
Yeah. I love my city, it's about me, and I bet they know me. I love my city, it's about me, and I bet they know me. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. This is LiMPiN AiNT Easy. I am your handy captivating host with the most near falls in all of wrestling. Fortunately, I was able to catch my balance at the last moment. I want to thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to click like, subscribe, comment below. Our guest this week is the go-getter trendsetter. He is the avant-garde of working hard. A man who, through defeat, became complete. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Matt Cardona. All right, here we go.
All right, we're going?
We're going. You ready? Always ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
My name is Timmy Baltimore. This is the show where wrestling's best and brightest come to talk about the obstacles and adversities they've overcome on their way to wrestling immortality. And a lot of words and descriptors come along when I think of our guest right now. Innovator, trailblazer, the complete Matt Cardona. Welcome.
Oh, Timmy, we go way back. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, man. I know we go back about since 2006, actually. 2007. So I usually start with like a little bit of an icebreaker here, but
Sure.
I'd like to, because we have so much history, I'd like to tell a funny story that that I like that involves yourself, me, and Brian from back in like 2000 and. Actually, I think I even did some research. The date, it was Raw in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
It was September 2007. It was right after the whole Signature Pharmacy scandal had gone down. And we are, I guess I was auditioning for the ECW backstage interviewer or something along those lines. And of course, because we're, the developmental guys at that point, we stuck together.
Yeah.
It was a scary time at that point. And I'll never forget, we're there early, and it's a real sullen mood throughout the whole area, the whole backstage area, and everybody at TV is just kind of keeping their head down. And myself and the Major Brothers were walking into catering and into this empty cafeteria, except for the Undertaker and Triple H.
Oh man.
whom are both huddled very close and talking almost as if like they're hiding a body or something.
Oh my
Yeah. And it was like the record skipped when we walked in, and they both turned and looked, and I turned to look towards you and Brett to, I don't know, like put me on your back and rescue me, get me the hell out of there, and you guys are gone.
Ah,
So I had to walk up. It was pretty awkward, but yeah, I'll
Sure.
never forget that, man. I know, like you've had a really interesting, I mean, a very interesting career from the time you started to where you've come, and it's almost like, man, are you familiar with like what's called like the hero's journey?
I am not. No. Enlighten
Okay.
me.
Okay, so like any type of Luke Skywalker,
Sure.
the Dune movies, that guy, the Timothy Chalamet, any hero, they start on an adventure. Something happens that begins to change them. They lose everything. They have to evolve and change and become something different. They become battle hardened, scarred, and then they evolve back and have all the tools they need, and then rise back to the top. And a lot of your story reminds me of that. What would you say, Matt, is the hardest, like the theme of what has been the most difficult part of your career that you've had to face and endure?
You know what? That was a perfect way to summarize it. My career, it sounds cliche, but has been a roller coaster ride. A lot of highs, a lot of lows. And, there's been plenty of times where I've been counted out by, the quote unquote office, by the fans, even myself. Sometimes I never thought I'd recover. But I just love this business too damn much to quit. And it's not over until I quit. There's plenty of times where, like I said, the office thought he'll never come back from this. The fans thought he'll never come back from this. Even me, I thought, I don't know if I can ever bounce back, but I just don't quit. I could, so many times in my career, and that's kind of the Matt Cardona story, whether it be the Zack Ryder story into the Matt Cardona story. There's so many times where you thought I was dead. I feel like I'm the Cockroach of pro wrestling. You just can't get rid of me.
It's really wild, man, because it's like you do something that just, I'll go as far as to say this: you're such a trendsetter that you're so far ahead of the curve. You dictate which way it goes by what you say and do, and to be able to call your own shots and do that, and from where you started, I was fortunate enough to be witness to some of the more, when Deep South closed down and you and Brett arrived in Brian rather arrived in OVW. Not the easiest time, right? Not the easiest time for you guys, and you've been open.
It's
about
like one of the
that,
worst
correct?
times of my life and career.
Well,
just to go back to that for a second, because
Yeah,
we're at Deep
please.
South for a year, and Deep South closes, and they send a few of us to OVW. The rest of the people, they're going to start this new thing in Tampa, FCW, which becomes NXT, years later. So I think it's myself, Brian Myers, Jesse and Festus, Brad J, and like Angel Williams. That's it. Go to OVW. But in that week that we're moving, we get called up to the main roster. So we're on ECW, and now we're like, we have to go to developmental still? Like, what the fuck? And I'll never forget the first day. We were so hungry, right? So we do, ECW was taped before SmackDown or after SmackDown on a Tuesday. And then we drove to Louisville because that's when they were taping OVWs on Wednesdays.
Yep.
But we're making this drive. We're moving all our shit, a U-Haul stuff. So we don't get there at Showtime. We're like, all right, we want to show initially. Let's just show up. So we get there when like the show is about to end. You know, back in the day, they go in the stands with the post-show speech.
The rah-rah.
And Mike Bucci, who is like the liaison between like developmental guys and the main roster, happened to be there. I think he lived in Louisville at the time.
Yes.
And he was there. And I remember he gave us like an introduction that did nothing but put heat on us. Cody tells a story. Cody tells a story in a typical Cody Rhodes lie, but I'm going to repeat it his way because it just that's how I remember it now because I've heard it. Cody tells every time. It's Mike Bucci saying something like, "You may know them, but they don't know who the fuck you are." They debuted last night on WWE TV. Let's give a warm welcome to Brett and Brian, the Major Brothers. And then he like called us down. And it's awkward, and we do this like this part's real. We do like the click hug, like the three-way hug.
Right, totally.
Like,
with the office.
Instant heat with all the boys down in Louisville. Instant heat.
I mean, I don't know, man. You guys brought something like there was the love you guys had for the fandom of wrestling was something that was so foreign to me, Matt, because I was brought up by the Joey Matthewses and the Christian Yorks of the world. It was like, you don't take pictures with nobody, you don't like wrestling, you're not a mark, you know. It was like, so I was scared of even like the last time I played a wrestling video game, I got yelled at when I was like 18. I was like, okay, I'm never doing this again. And here you guys come in and like you made it okay to still be a fan. And there was some kickback. It always reminds me of like, you ever seen that movie, The 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Yes, of course.
You know, at the end where like the black dude and his wife are at the wedding, they're going, how the hell did they pay for this wedding?
Yeah.
He goes, they sold the toys. He goes, we need to get some motherfucking toys.
Yeah.
That's what always reminds me of you, because you were right. Like there was this untapped market out there of people that were kind of like, wrestling's already a guilty pleasure. But then it's like, you still play with the toys.
Right,
Holy
certainly.
shit.
So like, you know, around like our peers, you know, we were fine sharing it, letting people in. But like, you know, for instance, the next weekend we're on the main roster. If I'm going to Target, I'm not telling JBL that I just got his figure. You know what I'm saying? They would have shit in my bag, kicked me out of the locker room. But I don't blame those guys because they grew up in a different era. They grew up in the business in a different era. They literally could not relate to chasing the ice cream man for the wrestling ice cream bars or like running down those Toys R Us shelves for the new that's not how they grew up, you know?
Right.
So Brian and I were like the first of a generation. Now it's so accepted. Now, like it's normal to take pictures in the locker, which is fine. It's normal to like if I ever wore like Shawn Michaels tribute gear while I was in WWE, oh my God, no way. But now it's embraced. Johnny Gargano's taking pictures with Shawn Michaels. And I'm not saying one's right and one's wrong.
Right.
The business has changed. The business has evolved. And now it's all these fans growing up. I think we just got into the business. I'm not saying we got in too early, but we were like the first of our generation who grew up loving it.
Yeah. I think anybody who changes things takes their lumps, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you're gonna hit that friction. And it was of course coming from like that man's man, the last outlaw kind of generation of riding down the highway and shooting the road signs to,
Right.
you know, trying to see which Walmarts have the latest figures. It's quite the dichotomy, but it's cool. It's real. It's different. It was coming from a genuine place, man. And at the end of the day, like the things you went through to be successful, the stop start. Do you ever feel like you don't get enough credit for instance, you were the first to start the YouTube show with Z Long Island, true Long Island story rolls right off the tongue, but
Yeah.
but it was so innovative. Nobody was
Sure.
doing that. What do you feel you get the credit that you deserve for that,
Oh,
or
man.
earned?
Yes and no. I think like maybe eventually it will come, but I didn't do it to get credit. I did it to get over.
Get
I
over.
did it to survive. I did it to change my spot in the card. I did it to, because I knew I had more to offer. And at the time, this is 2011. I'd been on the main roster for like 4 years, which is really nothing, but at the time seems like eternity. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm stuck in this spot. It's the beginning of the year, whatever, January, February 2011. I'm on TV, I'm on the roster, but I'm like already in the ring. I'm the guy getting squashed. I'm like, ugh, I got so much more to offer. I just knew that I did. And I had got a flip camera, which they don't make those anymore. So I might be dating myself here. I got one for Christmas the year before. I don't even know why I got one. I might have asked for one for my parents. I don't even know what the hell I was doing with it. So I'm going to start a YouTube show. And I wasn't the first person to do a YouTube show in wrestling, but I was the first person to do it on my own because there was like WWE.com shows, like Miz and Morrison had a show, Santino had a show, but these guys, they showed up to work. They did the skits. Maybe it was written for them, maybe it wasn't. And then they went home. Someone else is editing it. Someone else putting it up. I did it all myself. I came up with it. I filmed it. I edited it. And then you watch them, like you can tell I edited it. It's bad. But that was the charm of the show. That's what won people over because it was so authentic. Like you could tell I'm editing this thing on fucking iMovie and I don't know what I'm doing, but people related to that. And I didn't have this master plan when I started. I just knew that I needed to express myself in some way. I knew I needed to create some buzz. And, I started doing things like incorporating my real life, like blending Zack Ryder and Matt Cardona, the human being, so fans could relate. Because how can you relate to the guy who's saying woo, woo, woo and getting killed in 3 minutes? You can't. There's no redeeming qualities about that guy. So I let people know, hey, I'm just like you. I'm a diehard wrestling fan, or I like Star Wars, or my girlfriend just broke up with me, or my dad's fucking annoying me, And the more I put that out there, the more they wanted. And then like I started seeing signs, like Zack Ryder signs. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to put that on the show, like sign of the week. So it like enticed people to bring signs. And I did like broski of the week, like send a video in saying why you're the broski of the week. And then it was the fan participation. They just want to be involved. They want to be connected. And then, it snowballed. It did its job. I start the year as a nobody. I end the year as the U.S. champion, teaming with John Cena, the Rock's in the middle of the ring of Madison Square Garden, the chanting for me, stuff that I did not think about when I started the show. I just wanted to create a little buzz and get on television.
And you did. And was there ever, so when the Rock's in there in Survivor Series, and keep in mind, this is, God dang, man, like what a up and down career, because this is after you've already been in the main event of a WrestleMania as an Edgehead.
Right.
And I was even there when you pitched that to the writers, you and Brian did the Edgehead skit. So this is after you've already been around top guys and been in the mix. Well, so it must have been hard to have the carpet pulled out, right?
Well, back to the Edgehead thing. So that happens, right? The Major Brothers, they don't work out in the main roster. Like you said, we pitched the Edgehead thing. We actually pitched it for the first time in OVW because I remember it was a Tuesday, SmackDown, and the next day we're going to OVW. We know the writers are going to be there. And we went up to Michael Hayes, who was the head writer for SmackDown, or one of the top writers for SmackDown. We knew he was going to be there the next day at OVW. We said, Michael, like, we're on the fucking main roster. What do we do tomorrow? He's like, show me something different. Like, okay. I kind of had this idea because Entourage was a big show. You ever see that show, Entourage?
Of course.
And, Brian and I, we loved it. We were obsessed with it. And we're like, well, Edge could be Vinny Chase and we could be his entourage. And like, we went to the merch booth and got like some Edge stuff. And then like we came out, and I'll never forget, we came out to Edge music. And the writer's like, what the hell's going on? We came out and we had to do a promo, like a on-the-spot promo. We did like a fake phone call, like ordering Edge's coffee.
And strawberry milkshake. I remember it was like a strawberry protein shake. I remember
it was something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
And the writers dug it, but they're like, all right, well, okay. Now you got to get Edge to go for it. And we're like, Edge was out with an injury. We didn't know him. somehow Brian got his email and pitched him the idea. And Adam Edge was smart enough to realize, like, this could be good. These could be my bump guys.
Right.
You know, they could be like my heaters, take all my bumps, you know, and it all worked out. We were the Edgeheads. You know, we help them win the world title. We go from sitting in catering to wrestling Ric Flair, Batista, Undertaker, Rey Mysterio. We run in the main event of WrestleMania. If you would have asked me the next day after that, I'm like, oh my God, next year at Mania, it's going to be Edge, Hawkins, Ryder, triple threat, Edge has explode. That's not what happened.
No.
Edge got hurt. We sat on the bench. The next year at WrestleMania, we went from the main event to being lumberjacks in the pre-show tag. And like, I thought it was over. Like, I remember, I'll never forget, like the new program came out and we weren't in it. I'm like, oh my God, the writings, because this is when they were still cutting people all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, we're done. And I would have been 23, fired, washed up, over. But look throughout, how many people did that happen to?
It was not a rarity, right?
And happen all the time.
And guys were so young and so skull effed.
Yes.
At some point, and that's a testament to your strength and the indomitability of your spirit. Because how many others did we see fall who went through? Let's be honest, not nearly the amount of bullshit that you did, and you stood firm, dude. And to go into the singles, and then were you jumping forward to that Survivor Series, Madison Square Garden? This is huge moment. The Rock's in the ring. We want Ryder.
Yeah.
Were you scared? Was that like nerve wracking? Because
I
you were happy about this.
So because earlier in the night, it was Dolph Ziggler versus John Morrison for the U.S. title, when like clearly it should have been me in there based on what they were doing on television, right? Like Ziggler and I had been doing stuff on TV. We're in New York, my hometown, but then they put like, and I love Morrison, one of my best buds. But like, what?
You just did the deal with Hugh Jackman too.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget, the crowd is just chanting, "We want Ryder" before the show started. And luckily, you know, WWE was smart enough. They had me doing a run-in in that match. I personally think they had that match first to get me out there, shut them up.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But then 3 hours later, The Rock, who hadn't been on WWE TV, that was his first match back in years, he's cutting this heartfelt promo, and the fans are chanting for me. I'm fucking backstage grinning from ear to ear, loving it. And I do think maybe I got a little too cocky during that time. You know?
Okay.
Again, thinking, oh, this time next year I'll be world champion.
Right.
You know, but that time next year I'm sitting home doing nothing.
Because it was, I mean, the beginning of the year in 2012, that's when you were doing the deal with Cena and Kane, and you took that bump off the ramp. Freaking terrible. Was that? How was that?
It was scary.
Yeah.
It did not hurt physically. It hurt my soul, my career.
That was like a wrap on the year, right? At the beginning.
Yeah. But you know, looking back, you know, they just did the Raw leaving USA to go to Netflix. They did the 20 years of best moments, and that was on there. So I guess I'm on.
Win. Everything's coming up, Cardona, man. So it's not good enough, again, to be sitting and catering, doing nothing. You're not going to sit on your ass. You go down to NXT, and
a couple of years pass, and I'm just floating. You know, like I'm still on the shows, but again, like, you know, I went from someone who had like the top three, like in the top three merch, to like literally I have to make my own shirt because I'm so not over anymore. You know, that's where I'm back down at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then I'll remember one day, like this back in the day, you used to get like a printout of your schedule for the month. And I'm like, NXT, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't want to, what the fuck is it? Am I getting set? What is this? And then they're like, go talk to AAA. And this is when NXT, like, it wasn't hot yet. It was just kind of starting up.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, I want you to go down there and team with this guy, Mojo Rawley. You know, he's all hyped. You're a bro. We'll call you like the Hype Bros or something. And that's the name that they went with. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make this work. This is an opportunity, right? So we're doing that. We're doing the hype bros. Instantly, I can tell this fucking sucks. This ain't gonna work. This has no legs. But I'm gonna still fucking keep trying.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm still doing main roster stuff. So I'm doing all the main roster stuff. Then during my off days, going and doing the NXT. I'm like, crazy schedule, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of around that time where I realized, like, maybe it's a little before that, where I'm just fucking miserable, like legit miserable. Like I'm sitting home doing nothing. I've seen my career and all my hard work, get flushed on the toilet. And I probably invented the fucking passive aggressive negative tweet, the tweets you see every day from wrestlers. I think I invented it in 2012, 2013. So give me some credit for those. And then I just realized one day, like, listen, like me bitching online or even bitching to my friends or in my own head, it's not making me happier. It's not changing my spot. So what am I doing here? Let me look at the things I can control, like actually can control, and do those to the best of my abilities. And this I say this all the time, and it sounds crazy saying it, but in my opinion, in that time, for me, the only things I had 100% control over in WWE was my physique. No one's going to say, well, you're in too good a shape. Stop working out, My gear. No one's can say, oh, your gear is too nice. You have too much new gear. You can't look like a superstar.
Right.
And my attitude. No one can say you can't be positive. You can't be happy. You can't have a smile on your face. And I'm not a naturally positive person. I'm naturally glass half empty. That's me naturally. I've learned to condition and teach and remind myself to be positive. But once that started, I started really dialing into my workouts and just my attitude and trying to stay away from the negativity. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not. Things started turning around. And about a year or so later, I'm doing a show before Monday Night Raw, whatever it was, Raw, so Raw would tape something before, whether it's main event, Superstar, Shotgun Saturday Night, whatever it is.
Right.
And I'm look great. I just started growing like a beard. I just changed the look a little bit. Great shape, best shape of my life at the time. New gear, and I'm like clicking in the ring because I have so many reps. I'm done working 5 days a week, and I have a kick-ass match with whoever it was, and I didn't think anything of it. And the next day at SmackDown, I hear that Vince McMahon was in the production meeting and said he must have been watching the day before, like eating a steak, looking up, and said, "Why aren't we doing something with this guy?"
Because they always told us that, right? The monitor's always rolling, and you never know.
It was. And, long story short, couple weeks later, I go from being on the show before Raw to winning the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania.
Bro, that can't be. Okay. So you go from being absolutely miserable, you make a conscious decision to change your attitude, control what you can.
Yeah.
And and the universe responds, and the emperor notices. And
right. I don't know. I don't really believe in stuff like that, but it's like so hard to deny it.
Yeah. Was that, I remember watching that, and just knowing you, being so beaming at that moment for you, because your old man hopped in.
Sure.
And this is something that the world could melt tomorrow. It could all end.
Yes.
And that happened.
Right. And it's funny you say that because when I get fired from WWE in 2020, I knew I was getting fired because it was the pandemic just started. We got this mass video message from Vince McMahon saying cuts are happening. I'm in all these group texts, and Heath's fired, Brian Myers fired, the Good Brothers are fired. And then I get a text from talent relations saying, call me. Oh, well, why am I calling you? I know exactly what's happening. I'm about to get fired. And I have there's a picture of me and my dad hugging at WrestleMania, and this fan, Rob Schamberger, turned it into painting. And I have it hanging in my living room. And when I called to get fired, I was just looking at that painting and smiling, knowing, you know what, this isn't the end, but if it is, it's all right. I had that moment.
Yeah. and you can't really there's to be the odds of it, right? Like to be where you were and for the stars to align and when the spot, like it was Pac got hurt.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into it, right? So I'm
so
on like
much
this.
craziness.
I'll never forget, like, I think it's like Billy Kidman's like, you know, bro, you're on this list for WrestleMania ladder match. I'm like, me? What? There's no way. Like, I'm like an NXT guy who's on. It doesn't make. And then, of course, typical Zack Ryder fashion. Next week, oh, sorry, man, you're off. I'm like, all right. You know, it was cool that I'm considered. It's cool that I was considered to be in it. And then you said Neville like breaks his ankle in the ring on like a Monday a couple of weeks before. The next day, SmackDown, I go right up to Road Dogg, who's one of the top writers, and like I blacked out and just kind of like spilled my guts why I should be in that match. And one of the things I said, and it wasn't like a rehearsed line, like I said, I'm just spilling my guts. I said, I've never heard my music play at WrestleMania. You know, because I had been, like you said, I ran in that main event. I've done every jabroni battle royal under the sun. I even did like this team, Teddy Long versus team John Laurinaitis, WrestleMania, like 10, 12, 16-man match. But I was coming out to Teddy Long's music. You know, so I never heard my music play. And Road Dogg later told me like that line is what, you know, struck a nerve with him. And he went to bat for me to get me in. I end up getting in the match. And then to be told I'm winning it. And I got told the Tuesday before, I'm like, oh my God, it's Tuesday, WrestleMania Sunday. It's going to change.
Right. God damn it. Why'd you tell me so soon? Right.
But it didn't. It didn't. And I'll never forget even taking a bus. Oh, this is even funnier. So like I had to do like the day before, it's like the fan access. They like throw me in like an NXT tag match. I'm like, what the biggest match of my life? I'm doing an NXT tag match. And then like the next day, right before Mania, I'm doing like the crack of dawn jabroni autograph signing at WrestleMania at the access. Right. And I remember on the way taking the bus to the building, I got a text like, Fit Finley's looking for you. And I'm like, oh no. Like he's going to tell me, he was the producer of the match. He's going to tell me I'm not winning it. But really, it was just like he was telling me, don't rehearse climbing the ladder. I don't want anyone to see you climbing it, you know, during the day.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So thank God.
Yeah. Right. Like, God dang. So to go again, like the highs and lows. And
then I lose the belt the next day.
You lose the belt the next day. The next damn day.
Which luckily I knew that was happening. That was always the plan.
Okay. Yeah. And it was to Dolph, right? Or no, Swagger, right? Miz. So a buddy, right?
Yeah,
you know, it's all love. But I find it, you know, really interesting that once the pandemic hits and you're gone and you've started to release a lot of these videos, it's almost like a fireside chat, kind of like you're on the ring, kind of giving some sage wisdom, offering almost like a blueprint on how you can't tell people how to get over or what to do. You can't tell them how to be themselves.
Right.
But you can offer them your own experience. And in that moment, like I did you know that you had to flip it around. You had to do something completely different.
Yes. I didn't know what it was. And also, like you said, I get fired pandemic. There's no independent wrestling. It's fucking pandemic, social distancing, mask, stay at home. So there's obviously there's other wrestling. There's AEW, there's Impact. It's all closed set. And the majority of my buddies who got fired, if not all of them, were going to Impact. So I'm like, I don't want to be one of those guys. So luckily I called Cody, our friend, and he got me into AEW, had a cup of coffee there, and it didn't work out. You know, I don't know, to this day, I don't know what I thought we did great business.
Thought it was a done deal.
I was told the contract's coming. I'm still waiting on it. and while I'm waiting for this contract to come, TNA keeps reaching out. Impact at the time, I'm like, no, sorry, like I'm signing with AEW. And then by the time I realized, all right, this AEW thing's not coming, let me crawl back to TNA. They're like, sorry, we don't need you.
We're good.
Like, well, you know, I kind of screwed myself. And now there's no indie. So I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with my life? But luckily, someone like got hurt at TNA or there was a travel issue or something. So they needed somebody to fill in on a pay-per-view. they called me the day before. I'll never forget, for some reason, you call it fate, whatever you want. I had just gotten like a confidence tan, I got, because like the world kind of opened up. So I got like a spray tan, I'm at the gym pumping up, I just shaved the body, I'm like, actually, I'm ready to go tomorrow. I'm also thinking in the back of my head, holy shit, it's January. I haven't been in a ring since September, but it is what it is. And, I got I went to TNA and started working there. Then the world opened up. I started doing more indies or started doing indies. But even then, I'm like, who am I? Am I just Zack Ryder, called Matt Cardona, but I don't woo woo woo? Like, what am I? I didn't know. But I knew I needed something. I didn't know what. And then I was approached to do this death match for this company called GCW to wrestle this guy, Nick Gage, who at the time he was just on the Dark Side of the Ring show for almost killing David Arquette, known drug addict, known criminal. And I'm like, hell no, I'm not wrestling this guy in this death match, backyard wrestling BS. And then I take a step back. I'm like, oh my God, like this can get people talking. They're going to want to see pretty boy, woo woo woo, headband wearing Zack Ryder in there with this criminal, this drug addict, death match champion.
Yeah.
And I did it. I did the match, and I didn't just like half-ass it. I didn't do like a glorified street fight or no DQ. I did it. Anything that can be done in a death match, I did. The pizza cutter, the glass, the light tubes. I did it all. And like, I knew it was going to create buzz, but I could not anticipate the amount of buzz it would create like that night because of social media and how things are streaming. This wasn't, 10 years ago would have just been an independent show in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
But because of social media and streaming, it was trending number one that night over the UFC and the Olympics, and that night it changed everything for me, because everything went viral. All the clips went viral, all the GIFs, whatever you want, GIFs, whatever, everything went viral and it blew up and everyone was talking about it. Everyone was sharing it. And, slowly but surely the fans started booing me, because I'm just this Matt Cardona WWE guy in GCW and that environment. They hated my guts, which was great, but I didn't think it was going to, bleed into other promotions. But
because you're good looking, you're in shape, you look like a wrestler, right?
Yeah. But
you're anti everything there.
I started leaning into it on social media. I'll never forget, even TNA, they're like, you got to stop posting about this match. I said, are you kidding me? They're like, you're going to start getting booed here. I said, then switch up the plans. It's the most buzz I've gotten in a decade. There's no fucking way I'm stopping posting about this. Are you crazy? And also, it's better for you guys too. The more buzz I get, the more buzz you get. So, I quickly just took advantage of that situation. And, I've been running with that ball since 2021 now.
It was a hell of an investment for you, taking that beating and the like. You're a king of calculated risks, Matt.
Yes,
and
they don't always work out. There's a lot of failures in this 20-year career, especially this past 5 years. A lot, but you learn, you grow, you move on. You don't dwell on them.
You've really failed forward if there's like again, when we were talking about the hero's journey, you had to, and I know you weren't the hero in GCW, but I'm telling you, man, at the end of this whole thing, you're going to be, because you had to walk through that fire.
Yes.
People had to see Matt Cardona get his hands dirty.
Yes.
It was a more punk rock version of Orton going onto the thumbtacks.
Sure.
Right. Cody with the peck.
Right.
But this was real underground shit. And
you can't say Matt Cardona isn't tough. Maybe you could have said it when I was Zack Ryder. Sure. Maybe you could have made that argument. You make that argument now, I'll show you a video of that death match. And that'll change your mind real fast.
And you also had like this great this sense of occasion. You brought what would have and could have just been another indie show, and you raise the stakes, man. Like
Yeah.
the match made and the wedding angle in GCW
Yes.
was beautiful. That was so well done. That was great. The match with Joey Janela,
Yes.
like all that stuff. It felt like this is must see.
Well,
How long it had been hadn't been that way on the Indies, and I don't know.
Well, you know, to this day, I do the same thing. Like if I don't make the show, if I don't make it seem like it's the biggest deal, then it's not. You know, you hear it all the time. Perception's reality. I used to hate that quote, but it's true. It's true. You know, that's, you know, what people think, the perception, that's the real reality, you know? So if I treat this show like it's a big deal and I'm posting about it, tweeting about it, hyping it up, then it has a way bigger chance of being a big deal, you know, than if I don't post about it, or if I just treat it like, oh, this is an indie show I got on Sunday.
Right.
You know?
Right. And by doing that, you lifted everybody up.
Sure.
It's that quarterback mentality. It's
and
that,
you know, I put this post out today on social media. You know, this run was never, ever about giving back. It was never about passing the torch. It was about lighting a new one for myself. But you find me one motherfucker that I've wrestled who can say that I didn't give it 100% to try to get them / put them over, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and you talked about earlier, like the seminar thing I did with the clips and stuff like that. Like, listen, I'm not here to help the next generation, but I'll share. I'm not being a gatekeeper either. You know, I'll share the wisdom, take it or leave it, you know?
But if you burn bright, others can get warm.
Absolutely. And it helps everybody.
It helps everyone.
Helps everybody.
I you know, and you have the side hustles as well. So you're preparing, I feel like, for when you're old and gray.
Yeah.
You got the big rubber guys, you got
Sure.
the bendables, you got the podcast and it's just the entrepreneur mentality. Where did that come from? Where did that start? And where do you see it going?
Yeah, it's funny. So, you know, with that Z Long Island story, I learned the hard way, and I don't even want to say the hard way, but it's you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Anything you create in WWE using the WWE intellectual property. So Zack Ryder, for instance, it's WWE's. So even though I'm creating this show, I'm making this YouTube channel, I'm filming the content, I'm editing it, I'm producing it, I'm putting it up on my channel, I'm using the WWE owned intellectual property. So it's theirs. They own it, right? Which is fine. I get it. 100% get it. So when Brian Myers and I in 2018, I was just on him. Let's do a podcast about like wrestling figure. You know, we're talking about every day. We're on the road. Let's have a little fun doing this. We pitched to WWE. They wanted nothing to do with it. They saw no value in podcasts. They saw no value in collectibles. Blessing in disguise. They said, okay, let's do it on our own, but time out. Let's do it as Matt and Brian, because if we do it as Zach and Kurt, whether they want to be a part of it or not, it becomes theirs. So we're doing it as Matt and Brian, and we're not hiding it from WWE. You know, we're not hiding it. We're just, you know, it's kind of under the radar a little bit. And when we get fired, thank God, because now we have it. It's ours. You know, if it was the Zach and Kurt show, it'd be done, over.
Right.
So this is the way we were paying the bills during the pandemic. And also, real fast touch on this, we're thinking, oh my God, like we had this podcast about toys and collectibles. The world shut down. People are getting fired as well. They're not going to want to be listening about collectibles. They're not going to be buying collectibles. Turns out that's exactly what they were doing. Whole world was buying collectibles, video games, trading cards, wrestling figures, and our podcast exploded. I use the word exploded. It exploded from where we were. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when I got to the indies, I'm like, okay, well, I need to sell merch, you know, so I had to get like merchandise made, you know, whether it be foam fingers or pins, you know, anything, stickers. And the guy that was doing that for us was a fan of our podcast. And one day he said, I think I can make you guys toys. I said, bro, yeah, I'm laughing at him. I said, yeah, okay. If you can figure out how to make toys, if you can talk to the factories in China, we'll cut you in. You'll be a 3-way partner. He did it.
You did it.
Figured it out. In 4 years in the business, we've made almost 200 different figures. We've made guys from Joey Janela to Dusty Rhodes, and everyone in between. So
unbelievable.
Yeah, a happy accident. And yes, is it hard work? Sure. But at the end of the day, like, oh man, I got this meeting, 3:00. Gotta talk to the warlord.
Right.
Like, come on.
It's crazy how it turned out, man. Like, imagine is there a moment like you look back and you go, if I hadn't have changed something, it could have been all different.
Oh, 100%. Like, if I don't do that death match in GCW, I don't think I'm even sitting here talking to you.
Yeah,
I don't know where I am. Like, I don't know. Like, you've seen so many guys when they get released from WWE. I don't want to pat myself on the back, Barry Hallward style, but I'm gonna for a second, right? The easy cop out, the insult to me that I see on social media, or I hear the whispers like, well, you're only successful in the indies because you came from WWE. Okay. Listen, to help me out, to have some equity, sure. My argument to that, if everyone who came from WWE was successful afterwards, where the fuck is everybody?
Where are they?
Where are they?
Where they at?
It's not, that's not the formula.
No.
You know what I'm saying? How many guys, like, how many people went through OVW?
Where's Mason Bryan? Where's he at? Right? Like, what are we talking about?
Where are they? You know what I'm saying?
Bunch of bullshit. Yeah.
But I do think I might have been one of those where are theys. Or I would have been somebody just grinding. Or I'll never forget, like, I think it was like Nunzio, like back in the day, told me, like, when you get, and this probably was the way back then, you get fired from WWE. First year is good. Second year, okay. Third year, they see you once. Oh, Nunzio's here. Second time you come down. Oh, Nunzio's here again. Third time, oh, this guy's here again.
Yeah.
That could have been me, but I decided no. Like, I'm gonna reinvent myself. I'm gonna change the game, so to speak, or at least elevate myself and keep evolving. Whether it be the Deathmatch King or the Indy God, or even this past year, I get hurt. No good time to get hurt. This was not a good time to get hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like,
because you were hot.
I'm hot. I'm about to celebrate my 4th year being free from WWE. I'm about to drop this video that I put my heart and soul into, but I fucking tear my pec doing a clothesline, and I'm devastated, right? I'm devastated. I'm like, oh my God. But while I'm out, I realize I can't just come back as the Indy God or the Death. I mean, I could, and it would work, but I got to think of something different, and that's where the whole complete thing came. And what is the complete? It's just it's everything. It's 20 years wrapped into one, like, can't be the total package. Lex Luger's got that, so it's the complete in the sense of the total package. Can talk, can wrestle, can sell merch, can fucking do media, whatever, all that stuff. But it's also the complete, like, every up and down, every high and low, every peak and valley has made me who I am. It's completed me, all different pieces, whether it be the Edgeheads, the Major Brothers, the Broski, Indy God, Deathmatch King, the good, the bad, the ugly. You put that together, you put that super glue, and you get the complete Matt Cardona.
And it's a hell of a thing. And I guess, in closing here, Matt, this is probably a stupid but obvious question. It's 2 of them, actually. Where do you see yourself heading going forward?
It's a tough question. It's a hard question because I don't know the answer. And every year around this time, since I've been released, it's a stressful time period. So I'm like, okay, I'm still not, I still don't have a big money contract. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting older. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want to top the year before. I try to, let's say WWE or AEW, right? Let's say they have this checklist of, like, yes and no's. Like, does he check this up? Does he check? I want to give them the least amount of no's possible. right? So back to the things I can control. The only thing I really can't control is like my age. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that I'm a grandpa by any means. I'm 39. And you look at guys like Adam Copeland, Christian Cage, Chris Jericho. I know Cena's retiring, but Cena, The Rock, Dustin Rhodes, top of their game, looking like $1 million. But I tried to give these companies the least amount of no's as possible. Where am I going to be this time next year? I don't know. And the whole always ready, as much of a gimmick as it is, it's the way I've been living my life and career for the better part of a decade. And, I just know that if a phone rings right now, whether it's Stanford or Jacksonville, so to speak, I'm always ready for that opportunity. I hate using the word deserved. I don't think I deserve anything, but I think I have earned the opportunity to try.
Yeah. Because
if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Right? If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I know that I'm doing everything I possibly fucking can to be ready for that opportunity if it does.
And if it doesn't, you've proven that you're going to be just fine. And you're going to
I'll figure something out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're going to do something revolutionary. I mean, it's just, I can't say, I can't stress enough how much respect I have for your story and for everything you've gone through, and the fact that so many opportunities were there to just say, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah.
This is it. And you not only rise from the ashes, you come back stronger, and you change shit.
Yeah.
You change it. You're not a product of your environment. Your environment has become a product of you, Matt.
Well, I appreciate that, Timmy. I do.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I last question. What would you say to anybody who out there who is repeatedly just coming up short, rolling snake eyes?
It's going to sound maybe too simple, but it's what I tell myself. It's not over until you quit. Like, it's just not. It's only over when you say it's over, because there's no, in life, in wrestling, whatever job, there's an exception to every rule. There's no formula. There's always another way. So it's only over when you decide you've had enough, when you throw in the towel, when you tap out, when you quit. Till then, I mean, you got to have hope, right? And not just like delusional hope. I'm not saying that. You got to be putting in that work. And back to always ready, you got to be ready, because if you're not ready and you get that call, whatever it is, wrestling, not wrestling, whatever, if you get that call and you're not ready, you were slacking off and you fail, well, that's on you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the I give this advice all the time. People ask me advice all the time. I say, it's not over till you quit. Right. Because there's no blueprint. Like, and if there is, someone else has a different one, Yeah. Right. Like,
everybody's story is different.
Everybody's story is different. Everyone's path is different. Like I can, give you some pointers and some feedback, but I can't tell you what to do. Because if you followed everything I told you to do, it might not work out for you. Maybe you should do the opposite of what I'm doing and it work out for you. You know what I'm saying? There's no way to figure it out. But at the end of the day, the story is over when you close that book on yourself. Yep. Until then, just keep fucking going.
Man.
Lisa, that's what I'm, maybe it's delusional optimism, but that's what I tell myself every day.
Yeah, I think the proof is in your success. The proof is in every time you come through that curtain, and the reaction you get and the feedback you get from the fans. You are truly the trendsetter, man. I think history is going to treat you very well, Matt.
I hope so. I hope I'm not in that WWE Hall of Fame when I'm when I'm dead and gone. I hope I get that credit before
posthumously, so Cody can come up there and lie about you.
Holy shit! I almost spit on my drink.
Look, man, why don't you can you give us some plugs? Any your social media, your shows, everything else?
Yeah, sure. Follow me on social media at the Matt Cardona. I mean, I will bombard your feed. Even if you don't follow me, I'm sure it'll come up because that's how much shit I post. And then we have our own toy line. Go to collectmajor.com, get some toys, or listen to the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast.
This has been the one, the only, the innovator, the Indy God, the Deathmatch King, the Long Island IZ, the complete Matt Cardona. Thanks for being on LiMPiN AiNT Easy. You're the man, dude. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Timmy. Appreciate you.
I can't hear him.
I have a little
All
note.
right,
You should
hey,
try
man,
to take
how
the
are
names.
you?
You should try to take the names off the screen. You see how they peek through a little bit?
Okay. All right. So let me see what at the bottom or at the top?
It's like in our screen.
Snap. Yes, you're right. Look at that, man. Let's take the names off the screen. So please enter your name. Do you know how to do that, Tony? This is real. This is this is going well so far.